Hello everybody and welcome to Mondoid, your one-stop shop for all things Project Zomboid, and this week, Turbo to the finishing line. A little bit of exciting news, yet again another shorter blog, but not much to really discuss after the release of Build 30 and the I will back up my save file. So, we'll discuss a couple of things here, but overall, expect not a whole lot of information, but a whole lot of hype to come along with this Mondoid. So the big thing is right now with Build 30 is there's lots of hot fixes. If you've been watching your Zomboid Build 30 update a lot, it's because they're constantly fixing bugs. I think today they released 30.5 up on the I will back up my save file branch, which means in 1 week there's been 5 hot patches to Build 30, which is awesome. I'm glad they're super active about that because fixing bugs is important. But the more stable Build 30 gets, the more time they're going to start dedicating to Build 31, which is the one I've been excited about for a long time. So I'm excited to see and happy to see that they're still hauling away at Build 30 and really making this as shiniest as possible before they really do divert their attention to Build 31. Now, there's really not much to talk about Build 30. As you know, they did talk about it a bunch last week and the week before, so they kind of skip over that. And really what they discuss here, and what this Mondoid's all about, is the long-term 1.0 goals. Stuff that they've discussed in the past, but a little bit of new information that comes along with it. Right now, they have a very vague estimation as to when they want it released, which is the late half of the first quarter of 2015, maybe creeping into quarter 2 of 2015. Which I believe means somewhere around March, maybe April or May, around there for 1.0, which to be honest with you, is not that far. Now, of course, they say they will not give any ETAs because we all know how the Indie Stone handles ETAs. Things can creep in, feature creep can creep in, unknown bugs can show up that will halt development for a little while until they get it fixed up and this, that, and the other. Though we are talking about a team that is much bigger than they were last time they had really big ETA problems. But still, to have that idea of when they're looking at Build 1.0, the official release of the game in 2015, is incredibly exciting. So with that being said, before we get into the stuff they're expected for 1.0, if you're interested in what's coming in Build 31, there's a link right here. It's basically how they plan on making the game harder in the end game. Alright, so Build 1.0, there are 5 major features they're looking to have fully implemented before 1.0 is released, which is what they would consider feature complete, the feature complete version of the game that they have always, dreamed of making before releasing it. Stealth gameplay. We've known this has been coming. Stealth gameplay is going to be stuff like crouching, sneaking, pinning your character up against walls and fences, peeking around, shooting from fire, shooting from cover, this, that, and the other. Things that are going to make both multiplayer and single player drastically different. Right now, sneaking really all it amounts to is holding down the attack button and walking in this weird shuffling manner, hoping the zombies are not going to hear you or attack you. That's really what it amounts to, and there's not much else to go along with it as of right now. But with the new animator working with them, and I'm sure lots and lots of work going along with the sneaking implementation that they've been having happen behind the scenes, I'm really excited to see what stealth gameplay is going to be like when it's actually implemented in the game. It will drastically change the way the game is played, looting and moving and just generally maneuvering through the world that is Project Zomboid. So I'm excited for that. TV and radio, stuff we've already talked about before, but TV and radio is just things that you're going to be able to get like little glimpses of what the lore is in Project Zomboid via news on the radio or news on TV. It's going to be a way from your characters to not be bored, keep your character from the brink by watching kids shows, all kinds of things that will give you in-game perks like not having your character bored or bring him away from being insane, to just getting more lore on the world, which I'm actually very curious about because they say they have a very deep lore in this world, like how the outbreak happened, and they'll never tell you exactly how it happened, but they know how it happened. So what little tidbits they decide to give us through the TV and radio features, I'd be interested in getting a hold of. Another thing is vehicles. Now, vehicles, a long time ago, we saw some test footage of moving very quickly in the world. Now, I'm curious to see what vehicles are going to end up doing in the world and how it's going to change gameplay. See, vehicles need to be incredibly rare, and most of the time you would expect that if you want to get a vehicle to work, you're going to need to find parts to make it work, and then you of course need to worry about fuel and not damaging and all that stuff. So I fully expect the Indie Stone to make vehicles as rare and as special as they need to be. That being said, especially on a multiplayer server, having a vehicle should be a very powerful thing, a working vehicle. So I'm excited to see what that's going to end up bringing to the game. I won't even venture to guess what it could mean, because it could mean a whole host of things that would really just change the way your priorities. It would just change what your priorities are in the game. In a multiplayer server, it means you can go to areas that other players may not have touched yet, because you have the ability to travel long distances much faster. And of course, it means there's going to be a mechanic skill in the game, and having a mechanic in your party is going to be incredibly valuable should you have a vehicle. NPCs. Well, we know these are exciting. We know they're coming. That's all they're going to talk about. They're being worked on. They've been being worked on. And it's smart of them to not say anything about NPCs, because the hype machine is real when it comes to NPCs. Let's put it that way. And something I didn't expect, which was a UI overhaul. I think I knew a UI overhaul was in the works. It's kind of needed. The UI is functional, and it's better than where we were back in Alpha 1. But the UI is still could use a little bit of intuitive tweaks, and I know or at least now I know that they're working on them, and it'll be pretty awesome to get that working. It says they're in talks with a certain company who made a phenomenal UI for another game, and I'm excited to think what they will bring to ours. So that is interesting. I'm very curious what the UI is going to look like when all said and done, and what company they're talking about. That's awesome, though. I'm very excited about that. Of course, map completion and just more filling out the map with more buildings and stuff is also in the works, so that's very cool as well. And that's kind of it. It says, while we're at it, to help in our efforts to march toward 1.0 line, we decided we may need some additional help. So why don't y'all welcome Turbo Two-Tone? Hey, I know Turbo Two-Tone. At least I know of him. To the PZ dev team. That's awesome. Another developer straight up on their dev team, which is great. As his first tentative steps into the behemoth that is PZ codebase and tackling integrating Will's extensive TV channel. All right, so he's going to be working on the TV and radio channels that Will and Ringo D have been working on for a long time now. So that's cool. So another developer on the PZ dev team, and the PZ dev team continues to grow bigger and bigger, and the game continues to grow stronger and stronger. I mean, granted, this is one of the longest in development early access games of all time, but honestly, it's probably one of the only ones that consistently gets updates and actually works and functions as they expect it to. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see 1.0. It's like you could see it at the end of the finish line, man. It's there. We're getting close. And with 1.0 releasing, I can't wait to see what the game's going to look like at 1.0. That being said, that is the end of Mondoid. So thank you guys for watching. If you're one of the once-a-weekers, I'll see you next week. If you're a regular, I'll see you later today. And as always, I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye.